We were the guinea pigs.
It's wonderful for fireproofing, fire retardant. The problem with asbestos is it kills you.
If you don't take that precautionary step, that's where you get into trouble.
There is no safe level of exposure to asbestos.
We didn't have a choice. Nobody told us.
This is your health. This is your family's health. You need to be careful.
I hope that some guy that's not driving a car very carefully hits me and kills me instantly so I don't have to suffer.
Hello, I'm Michael Russo. Asbestos is a fiber. It's natural. It's something you actually mine from the ground. It's been used pretty much forever. Go back 2,500 years. The ancient Greeks used it for cloth. Later, the Romans used asbestos in their building materials. They weren't alone. In the United States, asbestos started being used everywhere in the early 1900s. So you have this wonderful natural fiber that has so many different uses, so many different ways to improve our lives. But a scientist found out later, while it's improving your life, it may also be killing you. A quiet day in Rancho Bernardo. A few steps up the walkway, a realtor makes a house call. George Young is the realtor, spends a lot of time doing this.
You notice one of the things about this home right away, the high ceilings.
As in this demonstration, taking a potential client from living room to kitchen
What are some of your initial thoughts when you walk into this area?
to family room.
One of the things you notice right away is the fireplace.
And while the discussion usually goes from crown molding to creative financing,
The primary thing that I do is assist people in the process of buying and selling homes.
you might want to ask about something else, asbestos. It doesn't happen that often.
I've never actually had a client specifically ask me about asbestos. A seller has to disclose to any potential buyer all known material facts about the property. But the important thing to remember is a seller may not be aware that asbestos is in the home. So in that case, then the seller would not disclose to the buyer about the asbestos.
Which would be an important factor in an older home. The age of the home is the key. This house was built in the early 1990s. It's probably all right.
However, if you've got a house that's built prior to the 80s, then you want to be careful. There are certain products that are likely to have asbestos, and in particular the popcorn ceilings, some of the flooring and the like. And what we would say is just be careful.
And that's where people like Kay Best come in.
Hi.
She's a certified asbestos consultant at a home in El Cajon, demonstrating what she does best.
We're walking into the kitchen, and I can see right now this floor is new. The floor has been redone. There's really no samples to collect here. The homeowner's done renovation already.
If you're looking to remodel and you know the home has been there a while, you need to make sure there's no asbestos. People like Kay can take a few minutes, walk around, check the floors, check the walls, open doors.
Okay, here we have a hall closet. This is where their furnace unit is. This has definite material that I want to sample. It's sprayed on acoustic ceiling material.
You need to scrape some off and get it tested. So Kay gets ready.
I'm going to go ahead and wet this area with water, just enough to get it damp. Once the sprayed on acoustic is damp, it actually comes off real easy. It's a very thin layer. So once it's damp, there's not going to be any fiber release. I can go ahead and scrape. What I want is about 2 tablespoons of material that I'm going to collect right here. So it's damp, it's not releasing any fibers. Now I'm going to fold this piece of paper and funnel it into this Ziploc bag. And there I have my sample.
And she'll go outside too. Things like old stucco can have it. Once collected, Kay takes it to a lab to get analyzed.
I've got a nice group of fibers right now.
And in this case, it turns out asbestos is in that furnace closet. If the owner wants to remodel, it'll need to be removed by a professional. Something to think about if you're in the market for an older home. As a homeowner, you know what you're supposed to do. Check before you wreck. But what if you're the company hired to do the actual wrecking? Contractors must follow the rules. Dana Logsdon is a roofer. Been doing it since he was 12.
Roofing and waterproofing.
But one roofing job has left a big dent in his business.
So far, I spent about $45,000. in fines, attorney's fees.
So what happened? This hotel roof job in Del Mar looked pretty routine. Turns out old paper under shingles his workers ripped out had asbestos in it.
Most of the time, I think those result from people not doing the survey to begin with. They don't know what they're dealing with, and so by mistake they get into it and start disturbing the materials. That's where we see the biggest violations and the biggest health concerns.
The law does require that a survey be done prior to disturbing asbestos. In particular, if you've got older materials, again, prior to the 1980s, you've got insulation or you've got that popcorn ceiling or some of those types of materials, the law actually presumes that some of those contain asbestos. And the burden is on the contractor to disprove the presence of asbestos.
As a professional, they expect us to be held to a higher standard.
And that standard is doing it right. A few miles away, structural work on an old apartment building, but the owner did a survey. Turns out a crawl space between the ceiling and roof is loaded with asbestos. An asbestos contractor is called.
And depending on what they find out, it may require that it be taken out according to the procedures that we require. And in that case, it would provide us with a written notification so we come out and respond to that.
And that's where Jared Ogden comes in. He's an inspector with the county's Air Pollution Control District.
So I've got a good seal on the mask and I'm ready to do my inspection.
And what he'll be inspecting is the removal process. Is the contractor doing it right? Remember, asbestos-containing material that's been disturbed can be a hazardous waste. Often the work area must be sealed off. Vacuums to suck out the air and filter it must be working, and you must dispose of it properly.
This has been like this 2 months. Yeah, real attractive for a hotel to have this.
And back at the hotel, roofer Dana Logsdon waits for the asbestos removal company to get rid of it, waits to do the roof work, waits to get paid, waits to see how much this whole thing is going to cost him. Make you a better roofer?
I think I wouldn't say a better roofer. I mean, unfortunately, I'm very confident, and fortunately in that area, I feel that, I'm extremely good at what I do. It makes me a more aware roofer.
Just like contractors, construction workers need to follow the rules and also know their rights. If not, the consequences could be deadly. At a union office in Los Angeles County, it doesn't take long to find somebody touched by asbestos.
Well, I first started putting on asbestos in the late 50s, early 60s.
Cesar Ramirez installed many types of asbestos on everything from piping to boiler systems.
Amosite, crocodiolite, what was the other one? Actinolite.
Now 66, Ramirez has a wall full of training certificates.
You guys ready with that?
He teaches young construction workers the do's and don'ts to make sure history doesn't repeat itself.
Your hands were very rough. They would cut up pretty easily because it sucked up all the liquid in your hands. Generally, it really bothered your eyes. Then, of course, we had no protection of any kind. We just said, well, that's the way we got to work with it.
In 2002, Ramirez got the news from his doctor he had dreaded. He has asbestosis, the scarring of the lungs, scarring caused by airborne asbestos fibers. Breathing starts getting more difficult with time until one day breathing stops.
Very scary after seeing the way my father-in-law died with it, because my father-in-law was in the trade.
It ain't going to bother me. When it does, I'll deal with it. And when it does happen is when the scary part kicks in.
Tom Gutierrez heads up the Asbestos Workers Union local for Southern California, a local that he says loses one member each month from asbestos-related diseases. What he sees, he doesn't like.
The worker has two options. One, he or she can quit, or call OSHA and let them know why they had to quit or why they got terminated.
They do have a right to contact us if they do have a concern about being exposed to asbestos. For instance, construction work, if they're going to be doing renovation type work, if they're going to be doing demolition type work, they should look out for what we would call presumed asbestos containing materials that are part of the structure.
Let's say the contractor does the asbestos survey and asbestos is on site. Gutierrez shows us what you, the general construction worker, should see just on a smaller scale.
They must sign in at this entrance level here. The reason why they have to sign in is to make sure when this thing is all done, they want to make sure all the workers come out. Because this is a small little scale. On a larger scale, you could be, you want to make sure you have all your workers out. That worker will enter this thing with regular street clothes, and then again change in here and put on this suit. Then he'll go through the shower room, into the equipment room, pick up his equipment, and then go into the work area right here. Once he enters this work area here, this is where he'll start removing the asbestos or the hazardous materials. This negative air machine is always on. It must be on 24 hours a day, okay, so that any fiber release at all is going to go in here.
Sounds like a lot of fuss, but remember, asbestos is a hazardous material. At your construction site, you have the right to know if you're working on something containing asbestos or if a worker close by is doing asbestos removal. Think about safeguards, chambers, negative air, protective clothing, respirator. A simple dust mask does nothing. Homeowners and renters, contractors and construction workers all need to be careful with asbestos. It can kill you. And if you smoke, it becomes even more deadly, way more. Remember, asbestos is a hazardous material. That means there are rules for working around it and for throwing it away. You can't just put it out on the street on trash day. Undisturbed, it's fine. But if you think you may have it in your home or job site, have it tested by a licensed asbestos expert before you start work. For more information, just visit our website at sdasbestos.org or call the county's Air Pollution Control District at 858-586-2707. Best advice? Check before you wreck. I'm Michael Russo. Thank you for watching.